all. This is Mubin Sayed in the cafe. So, thank you very much for being here. I have a question for everyone here. And this question arose from Paul Borg's comment today. Paul said, why not we talk about some math and weight loss, weight gain, and the math of that? And I thought that was a great idea. And Paul said he would help me present that, meaning will co-present it. And that gave me this idea, thanks to Paul, that remember I've been saying that we as Cool Beans, I would love to have guests with me from you. So maybe we all have various areas, fields, our thoughts, our opinions. So just like there are in the newspapers, there are editorial sections where we can voice our opinion, and maybe that gets printed. So how about if the Cool Beans, they uh, they prepare something in their own area, and then they join us here live and present a lecture, a talk about their area, their profession, and some interesting thing from there. Teach us something. How would that sound? And maybe there should be a nominal fee for that as well, so that there's an encouragement, there is a stipend. Barbara says, I still absolutely adore those little cafe creatures drawn by Dr. Bean. They make me smile every time I see them. Thank you very much. Though the ones that are on the that are having fun, yeah, I like them too. They should actually be on a t-shirt. And let me ask also, Lisu, I hope you're doing well. Critical Thought says, sorry, I'm listening to the last talk and commented here by mistake. Good one, Critical Thought. Now I'm curious at what did you comment? Is Elquin here? Nipa is here. Hello, Nipa. How are you? Elquin is here. So, Elquin, we were missing you yesterday. Why this face? What happened? So, John Snyder says CDC is warning everyone not to eat GIF. Just ignore those close to 200,000 SARS-CoV-2 infections and avoid the peanut butter. So, Lisu is here. Lisu, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. So KB Usenits says, although my area might act more as a sleeping aid, sure, let us go to sleep. Margaret says, back, was sharing your program. Thank you very much. Critical Thought says, I commented, tinnitus sucks. Ask me how I know. Yeah, yeah. So let's ask you, how do you know? So Patty says, I'm an expert on weight loss of my own experience, but do have good advice. Weight loss not hard, but maintaining can be. You're correct. So decide if there are going to be, and I think there should be a way for us to collect the requests to say, I want to be able to present. Dr. Z says, thumbs up for this. Excellent. Thank you very much. Hey, Dr. Z. So KB Usenet says, great idea. Paul says, hello, sir. Good morning. Hello, Parth. Sorry, I call you Paul. Sorry. Meanwhile, in America, says, sounds fun. So somebody has to raise their hand and say, okay, I'm next. So actually, Paul is next. Barbara says, yes, 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 t-shirt. T-shirt with this, these creatures. These creatures are us. Let me actually bring up um, that picture. I should have it on my hard drive. So 1 second. Hmm. Where is the Cool Beans Cafe here? This is that banner. Let me share my screen. This is the banner. I should make one correction in here. So bean apostrophe s or beans apostrophe as a plural possessive. Remember, we had made this as well. That was also supposed to be on a t-shirt. This is the YouTube's little creature that appears there. And then this is when we went live, we did this. And this is all of us. This is us. These creatures. Yep, the whitey monster. Critical Thought says beans for me. So I think what we should do is this. We should print this one with the correction, and we should print this one and this one. This one is too cute. Mm. Cute in an ugly way. Luffy should be in here. Yeah, he's making sounds downstairs, although his door is open. Barbara says that looks great against a black background. So let's see which one. Um, this one. So that means it can be printed on a black t-shirt and a white t-shirt. And this guy too, I believe. This guy will have to be converted to look good on a black one too. John says, Luffy can do a lecture on staying out late. Yes. Where did that comment go? Actually, that was Helene B. So Valerie says, I developed tinnitus in September 2021. I hear now of so many who have it lately. Mine is not wax or COVID related. I wonder why so many cases lately, or is it just me noticing more? Can't say, but I think that therapy that we discussed today may be something to consider. Okay to Let Go says that Cool Beans gesture the arm up. Let's see. This one. I just thought this was so much fun that he is kind of taking coffee and saying, whoa, is a gesture of newborn Buddha, but I forget what he says, his first words. Probably there are differences in translation. Interesting. I did not know that. Luffy is making noises. Did I miss why the subject in the tinnitus study waited until November 2021 to get vaccinated? That I don't know. That's a good question. Let me see. Luffy is making noise. So maybe I can charm him to come in. Hey, Luffy. Here we have Luffy. He's angry today. What's going on, Luffy? You want to sing a song? The song of my people. So here we have what happened. He's trying to eat various things on my table, but also making noise. Luffy, what happened? Somebody bothered you? Luffy. Did you show Luffy his portrait? No, he would not let me sleep after that. Hmm. KB Usenet say he's so beautiful. Yes, and he knows it. See, I think he wants to have water. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna open the faucet for him. He drinks it from faucet. So my wife reports that he has already had water. He has played with her. He does not want to go out either. The door is open, so something is bugging him. Zizi Berman says, those of us owned by cats understand the faucet drinking. Yes. Okay to let go says, Doctor, is it that the magnetic treatment helped the patient's ability to hear sounds? No, what they are saying is that magnetic treatment helped reduce inflammation. And that in turn allowed the ear to clear up and function correctly. So that means there was no permanent damage so far. Instead, there was just immune attack or antibodies, for example. And so there was local inflammation. This is Luffy and his hair. So there was local inflammation. And as they did this magnetic stimulation, that allowed the inflammatory effect to reduce. The question in my head is, how did this mechanism cause reduction in inflammation? Did it move things like fluids to be uh, moved out, lymphatics to move, glymphatics to move, and as a result, the inflammation is reduced, or blood vascular system to operate better, or just generally the inflammation antibodies to be? That is impossible for antibody. Maybe they got dissociated. I don't know. I have to do some research to figure that out. Romnick says so. Magnetic hairband would also help. I don't know. So these are the things to do as studies to figure out what frequency, how many pulses, because it's also not all uh, beautiful things. It can actually cause side effects. If I go to, if you look at the adverse effects, although TMS is generally regarded as safe, risks are increased for therapeutics RTMS compared to single or pair diagnostic TMS. So TMS can be used for diagnosis as well. Adverse effects generally increase with higher frequency stimulation. The greatest immediate risk from TMS is fainting. Though this is uncommon, seizures have been reported but are rare. Other adverse effects include short term discomfort, pain, brief episodes of hypomania, cognitive change, hearing loss, impaired working memory, and induction of electrical current in implanted devices such as cardiac pacemakers. So it does have its own side effects. And here they explain the physics of this. It is possible. So Mary says, can it be used for depression? Yes, because if you see here, one of the side effect was the hypomania. So it does probably balance the mood. Now, does it cause depression or elevation? I don't know. So, okay to let go says, speaking of inflammation, have you, doctor, given all the talks in the recent series on inflammation? No. So, two are done and more are on the way. Plus, I remember the vagal dysfunction has to be done as well. So, I remember those series are in my mind to do. Robin says, has somebody used neosensory device? I have no idea. Maybe we should look for these studies. John Snyder says, getting high on magnets. Barbara says, yes, Lotus does a scan and either looks concerned for a few moments, rubbing her cheek on my face, or simply walks away. Go figure. Yep. Meanwhile, in America says, is the magnetic treatment for tinnitus experimental or available everyone now? So it is FDA approved. However, is it approved for tinnitus or not? That's a different thing. So maybe the ENT doctor can do it, but it is FDA approved. Cynthia says, Luffy scan, yes. Helene says vibration. Yes. So again, it sounds strange because it doesn't really create vibration. It creates magnetic uh, um, field in the brain. But how does it work? I don't know. Now, they had tried steroids and that did not work. And then they tried this the next day. And within, as you saw, what, 15 days, she recovered almost to the baseline or better than the baseline. That is strange. So this is a case of one, so needs to be done more to figure it out or in a study. Augie says, any significant updates from FLCCC or Dr. Patterson? So I do not know about Patterson, but FLCCC and I had been working. So they are Dr. Maricat on the vaccine injury protocol. So hopefully soon you would see that. So there are important updates. Nipa says, loss of taste, salt and sour. Last 5 months, COVID in December, vaccinated, booster in April 22, lost interest to eat. History of psoriasis. Is it long COVID? How to go about it? This is a way of saying long COVID because loss of taste is long COVID or anosmia. Now, you know it. You are a doctor. It's really not the taste. It's the nasal olfactory system not working correctly. Then that causes the taste to not look correct, and then the patient doesn't want to eat. Things look like cardboard to them, mush to them, water to them. Everything feels like mushy potato, so why would they want to eat it? And we have discussed it in the past that there are some possibilities with IV to help. Nipa, any new song from your daughter? She sings very good. I was thinking of this. Alicia says, I have a full body infrared light bar and use it often. It does not help with tinnitus. Thank you, Alicia. Wow. So Pearly Love says, middle of night in Norway now. Nice to live a short time. Very interesting. I remember in the beginning when I started doing these talks, there was someone from Sweden or someplace. She she said that she came across a rock on her way and she painted the rock, and on that she made, I think she made a heart, and she wrote Dr. Bean and she left it there. And she took a picture and sent it to me. That was so interesting. So Nipa says many. Oh, so I need to go search them. John says, is there enough data now to categorize Omicron and its variants as milder than previous? That's a good question. So maybe Paul and I would, or somebody. So Paul is going to talk about the math and the weight gain or weight loss. Anybody else want to raise their hand to do this research with me and present it with me? Um, Anybody is welcome. And then if nobody, I would I would present it. So I'll do the research, John. But if anybody wants to put in their name here, please type it, and I will invite you. Vinod says, how does actual viral spike damage compared to those? How does the actual viral spike damage compared to the one caused by antibody and anti-idiotype antibody caused damage, since only RBD shape is mimicked? Even not fully RBD, because antibodies can only mimic what, 7 amino acids to 15, 16. So yes, there is a part of it mimicked, but still that could bind to some area and create signal transduction for the cell. So there could still be an activity. And then we know that if, let's say, antibody has a part of it that can bind to ACE2, not completely and forcefully, but just bind to ACE2. So as it sticks to ACE2, even weakly, it would start the biological action, complement system would become activated, macrophages will become activated, and inflammation would start. That's the discussion I did yesterday with the second talk on the chronic inflammation. These are very important topics that I'm doing, although they may be less interesting, but they are important to understand the basics of inflammation so that we can understand the dysregulation or overactivity of inflammation, and then how to manage them. So, for example, in this case, it doesn't matter how large the binding area is. If it binds somewhere where there is a tissue that is sensitive, and if it is antibody, it's going to start inflammation there. John says, Paul Berg don't want to give you additional work, but you would be perfect with the data analysis. Hmm. That's a very interesting idea. Meanwhile, in America says sinus bones are said to contain ferric iron. Could that be why magnets work? So almost all the bones of this part of the face have sinuses in them. This effect is on the brain tissue, not in the bone. And there is inflammation in the bone as well. So don't know. I don't have a good answer. I will have to read this up. So Trillium, I'd be interested in your review of some of Jessica Rose's recent work. What kind of work? I am coming across some actress. Jessica Rose wears key ways to prove C19 jab harm causation. I would let her represent herself. MSNBC says FDA concerning Novavax June 7th. Any real world side effects known from Australia and Sweden, not press release side effects. It has nanoparticles like Hep B, which has high side effects. So Novavax doesn't have nanoparticles. It is a bunch of spike proteins, but that's in it. I'll see if I can find something. There are so many topics. Yes, I heard that as well. So Vinod says, how does COVID connect to POTS or sinus tachycardia? So it doesn't directly connect to it. It's the um, immune system's response that causes immune system to attack the autonomic nervous system tissues, causing this regulation. That's one theory. Another theory is direct attack of the immune system on the heart. And this may be a combination of all of them. And a third theory is hormonal dysregulation, reducing the fluid levels, causing tachycardia. Path says, today I'm invisible. Very nice. How did you pull that off? So, something funny. This morning, I said, let me actually give me 1 second. I asked for a poll. Let me go to the poll. So, I'm going to share this one. You would actually enjoy it. So, this morning, I was just reading, and my YouTube is now just bombarded with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case snippets, and you could actually see the whole spectrum of kind of snippets. There are people who have very journalistic snippets of here is what was done. Then there are people with the commentaries, and within the commentators, there are some real weird ones, and there are some decent ones, and there are body language and analysts, and then there are almost tabloid like 50-second, 30-second clips with the weird, just like tabloids do. So I thought it would be fun if I asked that if you watched the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial, what was your takeaway? And so, of course, people had their various. There is this result in here as well. But the most interesting thing was how some people became very upset with me that why am I wasting their time in this one? One person said, which cracked me up. They said, "Are you running a fever to ask us these questions?" That was funny. So Vinod says, I was thinking if the RBC deformation during COVID could be a cause of tachycardia. Could be, yes, because the RBC deformation shape change would compromise blood vascular function and function of RBC, bringing of oxygen, flow of blood pressure. So that can do that too. Ideally, if that is the case, then within 2 3 months, it should become better because RBCs are replenished. Alex Kuhn says, such a nonsense distraction when so many important topics exist. Yes. Meanwhile, in America, says the both are sad. Um, Verbal Kint says, thought on Covaxin from India. Heard Dr. Monica Gandhi speak. I had actually talked about Covaxin somewhere about a year ago. I need to have data to talk about it. I don't have data. So KB Usenet says, why does it happen so quickly? Good one day, critical the next, tachycardia to AFib to heart failure. So that is a triggering of the immune system and tissue damage. That's a massive response. Ramnik says some people think they are invisible and then everyone remembers them. Yes. Meeple Art says maybe add Johnny Depp to the front of your topics and get a zillion views. Yes, I should do that. So if JD had tinnitus, how would we manage that? And then put Johnny Depp's picture and then start having that discussion. Meanwhile, in America says, does Dr. Bean also have work-related strange dreams, nightmares? What does YouTube doctor dream about? So my biggest, so not dream, not sleeping dream, but generally my biggest dream for which I become very anxious every once in a while is to create a bigger scaled medical education system of the style that I have, meaning more cartoony, more entertaining. However, I do not have enough resources to create a bigger university or have thousands of lectures produced. Even if I produce one lecture every day, as I'm doing, I could do what, about 1,002 years or more. But um, there are thousands of topics in every subject within medicine. So that is my biggest dream, to create this style and content in this style. And related to that, my second dream is to have a medical university. And so that is what um, causes, these are my personal dreams. The nightmare that I have is what is revealed to me from the medical community for how irresponsible, apathic, um, argumentative, dismissive, egotistic medical community is. And that is my nightmare in general. On the YouTube, my nightmare is YouTube just shutting down the channel, saying we don't like this, or because YouTube has a clause in their terms that they can actually go back in history and then decide some video that they have approved and they are okay. They can come back later and say we were actually not okay about it, and then they can shut you down, meaning they can do whatever they want. And again, I understand it's their private platform, they can do whatever they want. We just saw that um, report from the news where the lawsuit against Twitter was and Facebook was dismissed, saying that these entities are actually private persons. So it is totally up to them to regulate within their own private spaces. For example, these Twitters and Facebooks and YouTubes are actually, consider them as a home of a private person. So they have the right to shut it down. So that is the, and the nightmare is not the financial part of it. I used to worry about that at some point, but then there have been so much financial damage that I've just stopped thinking about it. The nightmare mostly seems like, then what is a good platform to communicate? Other platforms are not as mature, they're not as scalable, they're not as prevalent. So that's what happens. Casey says, do you ever dream in cartoons? Your cartoons come to life in your dreams? No, but if I take melatonin, I dream so vividly that I can write a novel for each dream, but no cartoons. Bambi says, my ideal man used to be Captain Jack Sparrow. Oh, so, Bambi, is this the past tense now? Used to be? Ramnik says, in stressful times, I remember people try to read only cartoons. Yes. Helene B says, I have nightmares about not seeing Luffy for a week. I'm so sorry. I can bring him in tomorrow as well. So I'll try to bring him in every chit chat. So it is actually interesting on the talking about the educational material. I thought Dr. Bean was my platform where I'll put my educational material plus have others put their material as well. But since the auditors banned me from putting COVID videos there, they have almost disabled me from offering any service more than just medical education to the consumers there. So, quite an interesting situation. Jim Merrick says yes. So LDN, if that happens, the dose can be reduced to figure out where it settles. Adi says GABA gives me hallucinations. Doug says good night, Doug. So Nipa says, how is a public platform private? So Nipa, these companies in the US are considered persons. So just like Mubin is here, Facebook is another person, one person. And so, as a person, they have all the rights of a person. They can do crime as a person as well, and they can do good things as a person too. And so, their platforms are considered their own private homes, for example, just like my home is. So, as I have the freedom of expression is for everyone, but not for them to, let's say, come into my home and say, I'm going to have freedom of expression here. Similarly, even when these are public platforms, because the corporations are treated as a person, everything happening on their platform is a private ownership of theirs. So they can decide who is there, who is not there, who should be blocked, who should be allowed, what messages can be kept, not kept, and so on. Bambi says, well, I guess I can still like the character Captain Jack Sparrow. Got it. So antibiotic resistance may be the next pandemic, but there are very decent new ways of antibiotics as well. So hopefully we will not be there. So with this, M. Gregory says, why not own an art gallery and hold medical illustrations events, make it synergistic? That is a good idea. Can do that. Casey says, magnesium threonate causes very vivid dreams. Why would it do that? I think it's whenever there is a change in electrical activity or the channels, electrical channels, calcium, sodium, potassium channels activity, that is when we can get these. So, with this, thank you very much for being here. Enjoy, have a good night, sleep well, don't have nightmares, have sweet dreams. If you like to support this work, there are links in the description. You can use them to support it. And I would see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, we'll have Dr. Sabine Hazan with us. So that will be a treat. And tomorrow, we won't do this chit chat. We would just have a talk with her on the main channel. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.